you who are from India, of course you know that Mr. Shah has got so many awards of different kinds, and now also from the Indian government to very estimated awards. That is the Padma Shri and the Padma Bhushan. Fantastic achievement. Pooja, do you have any questions?
Well, first of all, it's an incredible honor to be in the presence of someone who's been.
Speak in the mic, please. Lord.
So it's fantastic to be with somebody who's been so influential, not just to a whole generation of Indian filmmakers, but I think to just a vast section of Indian society. You emerged from the cinema of the 70s and the 80s, deeply political films like Ankur, Nishan and Manthan. I mean, even as an 8-year-old, the jolt of your performance in Manthan and towards the Soti, these words, even as an 8-year-old, are still living in my mind. So I just wanted to ask you, one recalls this incredible cohesiveness of these films from the 70s and 80s. It seemed very directed, perhaps at prodding and providing a certain content. Do you find a similar direction in Indian cinema now, or even if it's a different line? So what would you say is the compared to those?
Well, first of all, I must make it clear that though I started my career with art house cinema, it was not necessarily of my choosing. I was at a stage where I needed work. I had just finished film school, and the prospect of an empty stomach for many months stared me in the face. So, had I been offered the part of the third dead body in a B-grade film, I would have accepted that. As it happened, I was offered a leading part by Shyam Benegal in Nishant. Now, many people think that in India, the art film makers really started in the 70s. That's not true. Before Shyam, there were others too. As far back as in the 40s and the 50s, there was V. Shantaram, who was making, in the Marathi language, films of a very progressive nature, films which use the formula, of course, the song and dance form, which the audiences in India are very familiar with and feel somewhat cheated if they don't get that. There was also Khwaja Ahmad Abbas, who made many songless films back in the 50s and the 60s. I saw some of them when I was in school. There was Zia Sarhadi, there was Chetan Anand, who were all trying to make different kinds of cinema. There was Mrinal Sen, there was Basu Chatterjee. And so I was just lucky that I happened to turn up at a time when an actor like me was needed by these filmmakers who were just beginning their work, people like Shyam Benegal, Govind Mani and Mrinal Sen. And I just happened, it was a lucky accident, I was in the right place at the right time. To answer your question, the state of Indian cinema is more or less the same as it was in the 70s, in the sense that even though there are many more films of the unconventional type, like the one you saw today, which do not conform to the formula, ratio-wise, they're about the same as the number of films being made back in the 70s. Because the number of mass entertainers that are being made, the number of those has also grown enormously, and the budgets too have grown. So I would say that experimental cinema is still in a very nascent, fledgling state in India. But the fact that there are so many youngsters who want to make movies which concern subjects that they believe in, they're not sitting in air-conditioned compartments and making films about the starving peasants of Bihar. They're making films about subjects which have touched them. They're making films about subjects which matter in their lives. And most importantly, they are acting as a record of their times. And that to me is the most important function of serious cinema.
an audience is wanting song and dance. I think I just want to disturb at least, and so we had a little conversation about this tradition in Indian cinema. I think in Indian acting, if you like. Is there something you'd like to say about that? I mean, where it stems from, the history of the song and dance, and a certain kind of acting that goes with it. It has some roots in contemporary theatre.
Yes, that is in fact a rather interesting and unique phenomenon which has taken place in India, which is not the case, I think, anywhere in the West or in any other country, where cinema and theatre are joined at the hip, so to say. All our cinema evolved out of the theatre. In India, there were silent movies that were being made right up to the 1930s. And strangely, in these films, there were European ladies who played the lead. There were some European gentlemen who played the lead. There were Parsi gentlemen, the Bilmoria brothers and so on. When these people were very fair, often they were light-eyed and could pass off as European. Similarly, many Maharashtrian ladies too, with grey eyes, with fair skin and so on. Then came the talkies. And so the European actors and the Parsi actors were no use any longer. Because the films needed actors who could speak the language, actors who were accustomed to speaking dialogue. Now, let me also tell you a little bit about the kind of theatre that existed in India in those days. It was not a folk theatre, but a theatre of the popular variety. Many of those plays were plagiarized from older works, from Shakespeare, from Molière, and so on, given set in Indian settings and adapted. And the form of those plays invariably lent itself to song and dance. So, for no reason, every 20 minutes or so, the action of the play would stop and the actor would sing a song, just to keep the audience entertained. So they would start going, I suppose. This is a tradition that we have not yet outgrown in 100 years of making films in India. We don't the fact that we've been making films for 100 years. I'm afraid we've been making the same film for 100 years. and as Pooja mentioned, the style of the acting, the style of the presentation, even the style of the settings sometimes. The music, a lot of it is a throwback to the previous century, because all these people who formed these tropes in Hindi cinema, Indian cinema, were from the theatre, because it was not only the actors who got sucked out, it was the musicians, it was the dancers, it was the choreographers, the lyricists, the dancers, the set designers, everybody. And Urdu theatre, from which all these people who were drawn, died a somewhat premature death. And that would kind of explain why theatre is in such a bad state in our country, Hindi theatre particularly, and why Hindi films are still like the plays that one saw in 1930, most of them.
I would like to ask quite a delicate question. And my impression is that the broad audience tend to love an actor's faults, that he wants to see the actor behind the role all the time because it gives some kind of security, what you could call mannerism. Personally, I hate that. What's your impression?
It's observable all over the globe, I would say, that a person who becomes a very, very popular star sooner or later ends up falling in love with himself and beginning to idolize himself. It's actually true. And at least in India it is true, all the great stars, without exception, have all ended up sooner or later becoming parodies of themselves. And that is because the truth in acting, or the essence of truth in presentation, etc., is of no consequence whatsoever. It is only a certain attractive persona that you wish to captivate the audience by, and which is why you find an actor whose mannerisms were quite charming to begin with when he was young, over the years, if you observe his work, you find his whole manner becoming more and more grotesque and false, of course. And that is why I personally subscribe to the notion that it is impossible to be a versatile actor and a star, both in India. And thank you, Chris, for saying what you did about me. But the fact is that I have been saved from stardom. And fate is what has done it. And because of that, I've been able to concentrate on work which I really love, doing films like this, doing theatre, working with young actors, and trying new things in the theatre. If I were a star, I would not have been able to do that.
I think you are wrong there, because I think you are the only example of being a good actor and a
I
star.
accept that.
Do we have any questions?
First of all, thank you so much for such a wonderful performance. You have been entertaining us for years. There's not one performance I can pinpoint as my favorite, but you have been my favorite for, I can't even remember for how long. I want to say that you have been the hero of the thinking woman. You have ruled the hearts of the thinking woman for years. Be it your performance in parallel cinema in the early 80s, or you continue to do that even now. You have done roles like the role of Tumrus in Mandi, where you hardly had any dialogues, to singing to and dancing to the tunes of Oye Oye in Tridev, and doing all that. You have done all that with such elan, and we really love you for that. But I want to know, what is it that Naseeruddin Shah likes? Which is one movie, I'm sure it's very difficult to pinpoint one movie, but which role of yours is really close to your heart?
It's probably the first film I did, Nishant. I don't know if you've seen it, in which I play the slightly stupid youngest brother in a landlord's family. Ferdy is like that character grown old. And when I say this, people are a bit taken aback, because that was a part of a very inhibited, uncertain person who is very inarticulate and unsure about himself. But the fact is that there is a lot of that character in me. I'm the youngest of 3 brothers, and though my brothers never kidnapped a woman for me, I have been the object of much, you know what younger brothers have to face, always. So that's, to answer your question, that is probably the role that's closest to my heart, is the one in my first film, Nishant.
Anybody else? Yes?
Thank you for making it to Stockholm, first thing. And it's rare that we come to meet stars, actors like this here on site in Stockholm. My question is very simple. We were just talking about the change in cinema and how it has moved on since several years. How do you see yourself change, or have you changed, or haven't you changed in these years? I remember I was born when Masoom was released in 1983, and since then it has been very long. So I have grown, and I want to know, how have you grown?
The color of my hair has changed. Apart from that, I don't think there's too much difference between what I was when I began my career and what I am now. I still feel about 23 years old. Yes, sir.
No, I don't mean my. One simple question, sir. You have given the world series of excellent movies. My question is the best yet to come?
I should think so. Without sounding boastful, I should think so, because acting is perhaps the only game in which you get better as you get older. Age does not diminish your acting chops in any way. Whereas, had I become a cricketer, which was the only other dream I ever had, I would have probably been tonight doing commentary for the IPL instead of being here.
My voice is very loud. What for me has always been, I frankly admit that I think you're the only actor of Indian cinema that I really admire. And that includes everyone. And that I do because of your versatility. I can hear, having had the opportunity of spending some time with you, that obviously what you're most comfortable or happy doing is a thinking role, a role of a thinker. But the role that you've done in everything else, from Jalwa to everyone, and in this film, you just become what you're playing. And like when you've acted in, just watching by accident, I was looking for something else, dancing to Tirchi Topi Wala. You'd probably be embarrassed if you were to saw it. But you see it, and it looks like that's what you do. How do you get from somebody who's so intellectual to do something like that, and do it as if you really mean it?
It's called pretending. Thank you for mistaking me for an intellectual. I am not one. I consistently came last in class in school. Now I can do a play in which I can act as Albert Einstein, and I have great fun pretending to be him. So it's all. I do. In fact, that's a great advantage. But thank you for what you said. The only answer I can give you is that I did read somewhere when I was a child, around 14 or 15 years old, in some book, which I don't recall, that an actor should be like a blank paper, he should be like a blank page, so that whatever color is put on him, it can show that color in its truest quality. Actors, I believe, should not have too definite a personality. It should be protean, it should be capable of change, and most importantly, actors should be able to recognize within themselves the potential to be such and such. It's hardly flattering to imagine oneself being Ferdy because he's so foolish. He's on the verge, in fact, of being a basket case. Then on the other hand, one has to play Einstein, on the other hand, I have to play Ghalib, then I have to put on muscle for a thing like Jalwa. It's just a question of recognizing the potential within oneself and unlocking it. That's the only way I can answer it. Because we do have, all of us, we do have within us immense potential to be anything. And had any of our circumstances been slightly different, had we been born in different circumstances or in different family, or if things had been different from the moment you were born, your whole life would have been different. So any of us could have been anything. So I have great fun imagining myself to be everything.
You are also
Yes, sir.
मैं हिंदी में बात करूंगा क्योंकि मोदी साहब बाहर जाके हिंदी में बात करते हैं।
जी।
आपने कहा कि आप 30 years young हैं।
23. 26 old. जी।
जब मेरी शादी हुई थी 1949 में, अब 20 जुलाई 1949
उसी साल में पैदा हुआ था। उसी दिन? जी।
20 जुलाई 1949।
जी हाँ, बिल्कुल।
तो फिर मेरी उम्र क्या हुई?
डिपेंड करता है कि आपने फैनी को कितने वर्षों तक ढूंढा और वो मिली या नहीं।
मैंने फैनी को नहीं ढूंढा, फैनियाँ मुझको ढूंढती रही। और मुझे मुसीबत पड़ गई, कोई एक इधर से, एक इधर से, एक इधर से। नंबर 2, आपने 1989 में पंडित जवाहरलाल नेहरू डिस्कवरी ऑफ इंडिया की फिल्म बनाई।
जी मैं शाम साहब ने बनाई थी, शाम बेनीगल साहब ने।
आपने उसमें काम किया था। उसके बाद 98 में आपने महात्मा गांधी में काम किया। फिर 2000 में आपने एरा बना दी। एरा
जी
आप इंडिया से क्या मैसेज लेके आए हैं और आप इंडिया को क्या मैसेज आके दोगे? हम यहाँ पे जो भारतीय रहते हैं, हमारी क्या जिम्मेवारी है और आपकी क्या जिम्मेवारी है? आपको पद्म श्री मिल चुका है, आपको पद्म भूषण मिल चुका है, अवार्ड मिल चुके हैं आपको 33, 34 फिर अवार्ड हुआ। तो अगर आपके देश ने आपकी इतनी आपको क्या नाम है नाम दिया है, तो आप अपने देश के लिए अब क्या कर रहे हैं, क्या करना चाहते हो? क्योंकि मोदी वांट्स वर्कमैन, वो आदमी चाहता है काम करने के लिए।
मेरे ख्याल से जो मेरा काम है उसी को मैं अगर करता रहूं ईमानदारी के साथ और मेहनत के साथ, मेरे ख्याल से उससे ज्यादा मैं क्या कर सकता हूँ।
ये अपनी जेब के लिए है जो काम कर रहे हैं, देश के लिए क्या क्या
के बारे में हम बात कर रहे हैं, उसी पर बात करते हैं। एक मेरी आपसे गुजारिश है, आप हमें सुना सकते हैं। Something like a few lines.
In Urdu,
जो भी आप
actually there is a गालिब हुई मुद्दत के गालिब मर गया पर याद आता है, वो हर एक बात पे कहना कि यूं होता तो क्या होता। न था कुछ तो खुदा था, कुछ न होता तो खुदा होता, डुबोया मुझको होने ने, न होता मैं तो क्या होता।